If you think support is just healing, that's why your team keeps dying. There are two styles of support in this game, and if you're playing the wrong one for your comp, your value drops to 0. Let me break it down so you never throw in this role again. Main supports are the ones allowing your team to maintain a tempo. They're the ones that make the fights last as long as they do. With enough heals from a main healer, you can last a very long time and fights can take even minutes. That's why you may have noticed that oftentimes it feels like supports always get their ults, and the secret behind that is in the numbers. By 10 minutes in, some supports even have upwards of 15k heals. With numbers like that, it's no wonder that they're always the first ones in every fight to get their ults. A main support's job is to, well, heal. They're responsible for being the source of sustainability for your team. Think Luna, Invisible Woman, Cloak and Dagger, and now even Rocket. An easy way to distinguish what a main support is and what an off support is by looking at their ults. Think about it. When you hear Star-Lord ult, you want to use one of these main supports ult to counter it. Now, I'm not distinguishing them just by their ults. It's by the overall healing output as well. After the rocket buffs, he's really good at just keeping your team alive, even without his ult. Think of main supports as putting all their trust into their team and hoping that they can do their job to the best of their abilities to help you get the win. And the main way they help enable their team is by healing them. Now, don't get me wrong, they also have other utilities to help enable their team, but the main purpose of a main support is to heal. We'll get into more utility-based supports right now. These are your flexible, aggressive, and opportunistic supports. They don't anchor fights, they swing them. While yes, they may heal less over time, that doesn't mean they're completely useless. They offer more of their help through their utility and help enable fights and swing things their way. Think about Warlock. He doesn't heal much over time because he has that cooldown, but he has so much more damage and he's a hit scan, but also his other ability helps counter a lot of ults, including Iron Man's. And then there's his ult. He uses his ult after everyone's dead and suddenly 1v6 becomes a 6v6 again, and sure, his ult doesn't heal anyone, but would you say it's useless? No, not at all. It literally brings people back from the dead, and chances are that if you're using the ult, your whole team got wiped by someone else's ult, and so you're literally bringing back your team from the dead, and the other teams used a bunch of ults. Another example is Jeff and his ult. We all know the feeling of getting eaten by a Jeff ult and watching him swim to the edge of the map. I will say though, his main healing is pretty crazy, and I was debating whether I should make him a main healer or not. Same with Loki, but you'll see why I didn't put him in the main support category either. Off supports are the best when, like how the name suggests, you already have stability and already have a main support. While main supports are there to keep your team healthy, off supports enable your team by enhancing their abilities or adding damage to the fight. Think about Mantis's damage boost, or Warlock's soul bond ability, and Loki's clones for immortality, and his ultimate for whether he wants to heal more for the team or maybe even copy another DPS to add more damage, or maybe he wants to copy the Thing for extra CC or Strange for extra CC. He can do it all. Notice how all these abilities that I just mentioned don't really have much, if any, healing properties, but they're still so useful and are oftentimes the difference maker in so many fights. Off supports don't carry by themselves. They carry by amplifying chaos and punishing mistakes. Now that you know the two different categorizations of supports, let's talk about when you should play each type. You should be playing as a main support if you have a main tank on your team and he's taking a lot of frontal pressure. And if you don't know what a main tank is, I can make a video on that next week. For now, you should just know that main tank is pretty much just Strange, Meg, or Emma. And while he's not a main tank, you should also probably be a main support if you have a Groot on your team, because he doesn't have much mobility and he's oftentimes the one that's focused a lot more. You should also pick a main support if your team is grouped and needs stability. What I mean by that is if your team is less mobile and thrives as a group and is more of a brawl comp. Think people like Thing, Bucky, or even Wolverine. And the last reason of when you should pick a main support is to have consistent sustain over time. And to be honest, this is 99.9% of your games, so you should always have at least one main support on your team. You should play as an off support when you have another support who can anchor, you're playing with high mobility heroes, or you have a lot of teammates with their own sources of sustainability, like Venom or Iron Fist. One thing you need to keep in mind is to never double off support. Double main support still sometimes works because you have so much heals, and sure, there's a lack of utility, but your ability to keep your team up is a pretty good thing in it of itself. But double off support works literally 1% of the time. You have no heal and no sustainability. You have so much utility, sure, and you're meant to be enhancing your team, but there's nothing to enhance when they're all dead. Support isn't a low impact role. If anything, I'd argue it's the highest impact role. If you understand your job, you can carry games without ever getting a kill. Play like a main support when your team needs stability, and play an off support when you need to enhance your team's abilities. If you've been doing everything right but are still losing, it's probably because you're playing the wrong style for the fight. Next time, try to ask yourself, am I here to stabilize or am I here to swing? And if you want to fully understand how to win more from the front line, I'm working on a video just like this for tanks. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See ya.